Harry also says she's a crim, or Harry's legal team say she's a crim. Katie Nicholl responds saying, "No, Harry, you invited me to come and party with you." When Ms. Nicholl met the Duke of Sussex at Kensington Roof Gardens and was invited by the Duke of Sussex to join him and his friends at a private party, Ms. Nicholl socialised with the Duke of Sussex and his friends. Breaking today, the Daily Mail journalists who Prince Harry is accusing of illegal activity are fighting back. So, day one of this dramatic court case versus Associated Newspapers began with Harry arriving looking, let me just be totally frank about it, 20 years older, follically challenged, and miserable. I'd say that's what trying to get people imprisoned probably causes you. But what's so interesting is that the two women who he is specifically targeting are pretty famous in the world of royal reporting. First, Rebecca English. She is the royal editor to this day of the Daily Mail newspaper. She met Prince Harry, had a personal relationship with Prince Harry in the past, certainly a professional one anyway, and now he says she's a criminal. This was Rebecca English recently reporting on the Daily Mail's royal show, Palace Confidential.
Of the Invictus Games in my role as a royal correspondent when Harry was a working member of the royal family. And Richard's right, they are absolutely amazing events. And it just feels, I don't know, it feels to me slightly distasteful that, you know, the amazing efforts of these men and women are kind of being used as a pawn in a kind of, you know, a public game between father and son, which is why I think, you know, very strongly, I know people within royal circles believe this is something that should be addressed between them privately.
Well, in a bombshell email exchange revealed by Harry's slippery and slimy lawyer, David Sherborne, in court today, Harry appears to expose Rebecca English as a liar, as someone who was attempting to blag using illegal information exactly which seat of a plane his then girlfriend Chelsea Davy was on. The second is a woman called Katie Nicholl. I'm a big fan of hers. Very lovely woman. Recently has recovered from cancer. A regular on shows like Piers Morgan and GB News and Talk TV. Now, Harry also says that she's a crim, or Harry's legal team say she's a crim. Katie Nicholl responds saying, "No, Harry, you invited me to come and party with you." But in case you're not familiar with who Katie Nicholl is, watch this.
I mean, Katie, where do we begin? How shocked are you by these revelations? I think after the sort of the Netflix documentary, you sort of thought, what else is to come out?
I think I said that, didn't I? Now I'm feeling really silly because I didn't think that he was going to go anywhere near where he's gone. I mean, I completely agree with what Matt's just said. I mean, I've done this job now for nearly 17 years. You know, he's not the first member of the royal family to write a book, but he is certainly the only member of the royal family to have written a book this explosive. I mean, those bombshells just come thick and fast. And I think we've almost become oversaturated by Harry and Meghan and this narrative. There's just so much of it. But actually, if you try and just forget the docuseries, and if you try and put that Oprah interview to a side and you just come into this book, the idea that a senior member of the royal family would write a book like this, I mean, I would say is unthinkable.
Okay, so these are the two women who Prince Harry is specifically trying to destroy. Remember, in the past, he has tried to destroy Piers Morgan. He wants police to reinvestigate and get him locked up. He's also tried to destroy me with spurious and false claims. Now, I say this right from the start, and I hold my hands up here. I am going to be covering this trial all week without fear or favour. We will have a special edition of Outspoken live on Thursday as Prince Harry testifies. We will also feature analysis from Tom Sykes in court, Lady Colin Campbell, Lauren the Insider, and the Sidley twins, plus the Royal News Network. But when it comes to me personally here, I have absolutely no problem with calling out both sides. I think it's abhorrent if reporters for the Daily Mail and the Mail on Sunday were breaking the law and accessing private information in order to reveal scoops. Despite Prince Harry's false claims about me, he tried to suggest that I broke the story of Megxit by paying a public official. It was bullshit. It was a total lie. He sent a pre-action letter. He had to withdraw because I would have beaten his ass in court, because I have only ever reported using totally legal methods. And I, hand on heart, swear today, just like I swore on oath when I gave evidence to the Leveson inquiry, never hacked a phone, never used a private investigator, never used blackguards. It's not what I do. It's not what I've ever done. So if the Daily Mail did indeed use these horrendous practices against Prince Harry, I think that is appalling. At the same time, I would argue that Prince Harry's conduct is completely driven by revenge, and based on the Daily Mail's fight back, it was actually his friends who were blabbing a lot of truth about him because they were sick of him. And trust me, I know that to be the case. Certainly in my case, I don't know in terms of Rebecca English and Katie Nicholl, but I do want to take you through the other side. So look at this. Lawyers for Prince Harry say his friends were a good source of leaks, which does very much suggest that Harry was being sold out by people.
Reports are circulating tonight that Prince Harry has been accused of secretly partying with male TV star Katie Nicholl while his high-profile court case against the British press was still underway. The claims, which remain unconfirmed, have raised eyebrows across royal and media circles, particularly given the sensitivity of Harry's legal battle and his long-running criticism of the tabloids. Critics are asking how such social encounters, if true, align with the serious tone Harry has adopted inside the courtroom. For balanced royal analysis and breaking updates you won't get elsewhere, hit like and subscribe now, because the context behind this story matters.
Lawyers for the Daily Mail publisher said these friends would even tell journalists what he got up to in his private life. His lawyers claim some of the information in the articles in the Mail and the Mail on Sunday was obtained through unlawful means such as voicemail interception and paying inquiry agents to blag private information. The publisher strongly denies the allegations. Its lawyers argued in court documents that the articles were sourced entirely legitimately from information variously provided by contacts of the journalists responsible, including individuals in the Duke of Sussex's social circles, press officers and publishers, freelance journalists, photographers, and prior reports. Describing how friends of the prince gave journalists stories, the document stated at all material times the Duke of Sussex's social circle was known to be a good source of leaks or disclosure of information to the media about what he got up to in his private life. The publisher said former Mail on Sunday Diary column editors would give evidence, that's Katie Nicholl, saying that they personally mixed in the Duke of Sussex's social circles at parties, social events and nightclubs, and obtained stories about him and his then-girlfriend Chelsea Davies from their respective friends and associates and from their and their friends' social media posts. Associated also stressed that the Duke discussed his private life in the media, including his personal relationships. Well, he absolutely does. And cited emails disclosed by his legal team, which they said showed he was aware stories were coming from friends or mates of friends gossiping. Lawyers for the publisher also argued that Katie Nicholl, who we saw there on the Piers Morgan show, socialised with the Duke's friends and even the Duke himself. They stated that Ms. Nicholl was often at parties that the Duke of Sussex and his circle of friends attended and had excellent contacts at the nightclubs Bougies and Amica, who would tip her off when the Duke of Sussex and his friends were coming to the club. She states from April 2003, when Ms. Nicholl met the Duke of Sussex at Kensington Roof Gardens and was invited by the Duke of Sussex to join him and his friends at a private party, Ms. Nicholl socialised with the Duke of Sussex and his friends. She also knew several people who were Facebook friends of the Duke who would show her screenshots of his posts and messages that could only be viewed by approved friends. One of the articles of the Prince claims was unlawfully obtained had in fact came from a palace press officer, the Daily Mail claims. Now, this was a 2006 article. It was headlined, "Let Her Rest in Peace," and it was about the late Diana, Princess of Wales, and the lawyers say it could only have been sourced by unlawful information gathering. But associated lawyers said that the reporter who wrote the story, this is the royal editor Rebecca English once again, spoke to a palace press officer who provided the information in the article and was told that neither Prince William nor Prince Harry would object to the article being published. The other claimants are Sir Elton John and his husband David Furnish, the actresses Sadie Frost Law and Elizabeth Hurley, former MP Sir Simon Hughes, and Baroness Doreen Lawrence, mother of the murdered teenager Stephen Lawrence. Associated argued that an identical approach was taken to camouflage the litigation position in Ms. Frost's Law's claims. David Sherborne, he is the bloke representing Harry, told the High Court that the Daily Mail knew they had skeletons in their closet and had a practice of clear, systematic and sustained use of unlawful information gathering. And then this from Prince Harry himself, but remember, we are going to see him on the stand on Thursday. He said, "I find it deeply troubling that Associated use phrases such as sources, friends, and the like as a device to hide unlawful information gathering." Now, again, I believe that is totally ludicrous for Harry to say that, because I would regularly use source quotes and quotes from friends within my articles about him, including, by the way, in the article revealing Megxit, the fact that he was going to leave the United Kingdom. And those friends were absolutely legitimate. And actually, one of those sources was a staff member working directly for Prince Harry. So for Harry to extrapolate the fact that there may be an article where a journalist is quoting a source or quoting a friend and saying that means that the article was unlawfully obtained is highly intellectually dishonest. Because the way journalism works, and a lot of people don't like this, but people will not go on the record if their name will be published. And so the way that a journalist can very often break stories in the public interest, and no one can tell me that the story of Megxit was not in the public interest. I mean, Harry and Meghan were actively working to undermine the British royal family to claim that it was racist. I mean, come on. And the only way that people would talk would be if they knew that I would protect their identity. That's standard. It certainly doesn't immediately equal a legal practice. However, and you know I am covering this case fairly, Harry does seem to have evidence against Rebecca English, the royal editor of the Daily Mail. Now, if this comes to pass, this will be a devastating blow to the Daily Mail. And I want to take you into the court. This was just before 1 o'clock, and go through the reporting from Imogen James, who's inside the High Court. She writes, "We are now hearing about Prince Harry's former girlfriend, Chelsea Davy. Sherborne shows an email which includes information about a flight she took in 2007. It shows her seat number, flight times, and travel plans. It's alleged Daily Mail royal editor Rebecca English used the services of investigator Mike Burr to obtain this information. Sherborne claims there is no way anyone reading this information could have thought the information obtained was done so illegally. A later email exchange is then shown between English and Burr from 2013. Now remember, 2013, by this point, people had gone to jail over phone hacking. In it, Burr shares the flight details of Prince Harry. English acknowledges this, and Sherborne says she knows perfectly well what he's doing, referring to the alleged blagging by Burr. Sherborne notes that Prince Harry travelled using a pseudonym. This would make it much harder to find any information about his travel plans. English then names Prince Harry's protection officer. Burr replies with the details of the flight, showing the number and times. Now, that is if on email, and if this information is being paid for, certainly hard to add up to Rebecca English's previous witness statement, where she claimed this information had come from a source, and that some of the information in regards to Chelsea Davy had come from a source of hers close to university. So let me bring in Christine and Neil Hamilton on this. Now, look, the first thing I want to say, Christine, is that this is day one of the trial. And you know, because you two have both been caught up in lots of nasty legal cases over your time, that this is the day where David Sherborne gets to outline his case. So, of course, it's going to look pretty bad for the Daily Mail today. And then tomorrow, we'll get to hear much more from their lawyers, their defense. And so certainly at the moment, the coverage is stacked towards the claimants, towards Harry, towards David Sherborne. At the same time, Tom Sykes of the Royalist blog was in court today and said, I thought this case was going to be a disaster for Prince Harry, but on day one, the evidence against the Daily Mail does look stronger than first thought.
Royal commentators say the controversy isn't just about who Prince Harry may or may not have socialised with, it's about optics. While accusing parts of the media of unethical behaviour, any suggestion of private socialising with prominent media figures risks undermining his public stance. Supporters insist these are rumours being weaponised, while critics argue the timing alone fuels public scepticism. As with many royal stories, the truth may sit somewhere between perception and proof. And until verified evidence emerges, these claims remain allegations, not fact. What do you think? Harmless socialising or damaging hypocrisy? Let us know in the comments and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next royal development.
I mean, you're the expert, Dan. I've been sick visiting most of the day, so I haven't been following what went on in court. But you're absolutely right. The case always looks better from the point of view of the claimant, because they start off, they lay out their stall, and of course they don't mention anything that might be awkward for them. When we hear the Daily Mail's response, then we might discover that, oh, actually X wasn't quite as Y as we thought, as it were. But nobody in a million years supports sort of illegal hacking, etc. that went. I mean, we were the subject of that. We have a very nice letter in our loo from the News International apologising, etc., etc. And we had a nice cheque to bank all those years ago. So we know what it's like. It's horrible. I'll tell you, this is not a serious answer to your question, but my overwhelming feeling was, oh, come back, Chelsea Davy. This was all pre-blooming Meghan. And, you know, if only the Chelsea hadn't had cold feet and decided she couldn't cope with it, and who can blame her? But I mean, if only she'd gone through with it, then we wouldn't have had all the Meghan business. But I think it's absolutely true that, I mean, I know several of Harry's friends and erstwhile friends, they're no longer friends because they couldn't accept Meghan. They said what they thought about Meghan, and that was that. They were cut off without a shilling. So I'm sure friends have done quite a lot of talking. It, you know, a court case is a forensic experience, and it will all be gone through with the most boring, unbelievable, fine-tooth comb detail. And I just hope at the end of the day we get to the truth. But Neil's the lawyer, so what do you think?
Well, I obviously wasn't in court, so I have no idea. And I don't know what evidence the Daily Mail is going to adduce to undermine the claims that are being made by Prince Harry. I must say, considering that this is a mega expensive case where the costs are likely to approach 40 million quid, can you believe, if it lasts the full 9 weeks that it's anticipated it will, that the Mail and associated newspapers would be taking the risk on this, and that they haven't folded up like the others, like the some before them. If they're not reasonably confident, they'll be able to persuade a judge. You know, who knows? It's very difficult for outsiders to get any feel for this at all, particularly on day one.
Yeah, I mean, the
So
stakes could not be higher, and I'll come to them in just one moment. Elton John, he is utterly central to this because he is the guy who introduced Prince Harry to his lawyer, slippery guy, David Sherborne. And we know that Harry has this long connection with Elton, who was friends with Princess Diana, even though it was certainly a tempestuous relationship, and performed at her funeral, sung Candle in the Wind famously. Well, he came out with some shocking information today too. Again, if true, let's wait to see the evidence, but no one can support this. Just before 2:00, it emerged that Elton John said he felt his home was violated by alleged unlawful news gathering. In written submissions by Sherborne, Elton and his husband David Furnish say they're horrified that their personal friendships were allegedly used against them to steal information. Then there's the shocking bit. The couple accuses the Daily Mail publishers of invasion of medical details surrounding the birth of their son Zachary and the stealing of his birth certificate before we even had a chance to see it ourselves. That is a direct quote from Elton John and David Furnish. Now, Neil, if that proves to be true, that is of the highest level of seriousness. I mean, when you come into a national newspaper as a journalist, remember, I entered Fleet Street in 2007 after the phone hacking scandal. It was abundantly clear where the legal and moral lines were. And in the United Kingdom, even the thought that you try and write something about someone's private health information or that you access medical records or something like that, it's like, there's no passing go. You're going straight to jail. So again, we've got to wait to see the evidence. But if there is any proof of this, the Daily Mail is in deep trouble. But obviously, we've got to see the proof.
Yeah. Of course, a birth certificate is actually a public document, so it wouldn't be possible to steal it as such. You could get it from the register office if you know the identity of the child. So who knows? But I've known a few scumbag so-called journalists in my time who would stop at nothing to get a scoop and a story. I'm talking about a long time ago, of course, perhaps in a different era, journalistically speaking, when a lot of naughty things were done, and some big cases have helped clean things up a very great deal, in my opinion. But it does seem to me extraordinary that the Mail is continuing so vigorously with its defence if they're not reasonably confident that what they've got is going to undermine the case against them. Who knows? Of course, you get caught up in legal proceedings, things happen, you can't control the process. You've no idea what people are going to say in court, actually, what new issues and lines of argument, evidence are going to appear, which were not anticipated in the first place.
But the thing is, Christine,
it's a highly random process.
But in some ways, the Daily Mail has to take this punt, though, because if they lose, but likewise settling would have included some type of admittance of illegal activity. Now, remember, for News UK, which is the owners of The Sun and owners of the former newspaper, The News of the World, and for Trinity Mirror, which owns the Daily Mirror and the Sunday Mirror, there has long been an acknowledgement of widespread illegal activities within their companies. Okay, News UK say it happens at News of the World and not the Sun. Yeah, right. Do you know what I mean? They were all at it years ago. Before I was at any of these newspapers, they were all at it. But for the Mail, they always drew this very, very clear line. Now, of course, the Daily Mail and Paul Dacre currently trying to do a deal to buy the Daily Telegraph. There would obviously be pressure for the police to open up criminal investigations if the Daily Mail had indeed lied in its submission to the Leveson inquiry. I mean, you could argue the very future of the Daily Mail as a media company in this country is on the line with this case. So that's why Harry, even though I think he is making a big mistake personally, because look at him. I mean, the toll this is taking on him, he's aged about 20 years. This is not a fun thing. But he views himself as a dragon slayer.
Yeah. That his age, he's living with Meghan, for heaven's sake. That's aging.
True. Good point. Good point. Very good point.
Maybe the High Court is preferable to living with Meghan. Can you imagine?
Well, indeed. Because, guys, I've got to show you this. Did you see this video that they posted on Instagram? Okay, I'm going to show you this. So basically,
it's
what
like it's like being gripped by a scorpion.
Yes, well, what we've done, well, it was actually the Sidley twins, my friends, the brilliant Sidley twins of Twin Talks. What we've done is juxtapose some of Meghan Markle's high-minded words about, how she really has to live in life and not prove anything to anyone with this ludicrous new social media video. Watch.
I'm trying to prove something. To prove that you're enough. You have to prove that you're pretty enough. You have to prove that you're smart enough. You prove that you're a good wife or a good friend. And I was like, I am just so done with the prove it game. Yes. When you get to the place where you feel I don't have to prove anything to you anymore. I don't have to prove that I'm a good person. I don't have to prove to you that I'm a good wife or mom or friend. I don't have to prove that I work hard. And it can be really freeing when you stop playing the prove it game. You're proving nothing to anyone other than to yourself.
But actually, what she's trying to prove, Christine, is we're so in love. I mean, I've got some grabs. Look at Harry's face. He's like, how did my life come to this?
Oh dear, oh dear.
What did you think of it, Christine?
Honestly, I usually, when I wish I hadn't seen it, I really do. I'm so fed up with her bleating on about proving this and proving that. And just get on with your life and let everybody else get on with theirs. Stop banging on. I don't want you to prove anything. I just want you to stay over in Monte Chateau and just get out of my life. But this business that she's always got to prove something. No, she hasn't. What's she got to prove? She hasn't got to prove anything. I've got to prove I'm a good mum. I've got to prove I'm pretty or whatever she said.
Yeah, she's got to prove she's a hard worker, and I think that'll take some doing.
It's pathetic.
It will.
Absolutely pathetic.
But look, I know a lot of people find this case trying, and I get it, but it is important. There is a lot at stake here. Harry's reputation is on the line, and the Daily Mail's reputation is on the line.
There is, but supposing Harry loses, where's he going to find 40 million?
100%. I mean, it could. I mean, there is insurance, but there is only insurance to a certain extent. So there's a lot on the line for these people. But look, the big day is Thursday. We will be live. Harry is in the dock, and we have a special live broadcast at 7 p.m. UK time, 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. Tom Sykes will be in court, and we'll have analysis from Lady Colin Campbell, the Royal News Network, and the Sidley twins. But to the wonderful Christine and Neil Hamilton, my superstar panel today, thank you both so much. Christine, we've got to find a way to get you back on X. Come on, Elon.
Yeah,
we need
please,
Brett Battleaxe back on X.
I feel as though my right hand's been cut off.
Yeah.
Not because I use it all the time.
But you need it.
News. The number of times in the day, I think I must find out what's going
100%,
on.
and we need you on it. We need you on it. No, look, I love X, but it's not good how difficult it is for people to get their accounts back. But thank you both so much. We're going to keep fighting for that. And of course, we will reveal today's Gracious Britain and Union Jackass in just one moment. First, your feedback, though. Rupert Lowe, this is from Azarian. Rupert Lowe should join Advance. The fact Ben is so accommodating shows that he is the one that wants what's best for the country, not his ego. Susan Daltrey. Thank you, Susan Daltrey. She says, funny, Ben, how Rupert doesn't want anything to do with Advance. Why, after all this time, has he not gravitated towards you? Niche said it's going to be a generic and Yusuf leadership battle. That's to succeed Nigel Farage. I think that is absolutely true. Karen E says, as much as I love Rupert, I will not abandon Ben Habib. Rupert, please join Advance. And against animal abuse says, Farage, a turncoat in a flat cap, wax coat wearing fox hunting lover who also had a bank account used by the royals. What the F has that got to do with the working class? Shut up, Nigel. You sound like Stammer. Okay, let's get to today's Greatest Britain and Union Jackass. A reminder of the nominees. Geeta Guru Murty. She is the BBC presenter who hissed. You saw her hiss, didn't you? When that rapper, DC3, said, one of my heroes is Jesus Christ. Well, if you're at the BBC, that is a very bad thing. Tony Blair, and he was nominated by, let me tell you, Geeta Guru Murty, I've got to say, was nominated by Matt Cass. Nominated by The Grift Report. Tony Blair was nominated by Matt Cass for being a destroyer of peace, but yet again getting on the gravy train by joining the Gaza Board of Peace. Tony and Lord Faulkner, nominated by Real McCass for his stance in the Lords on the assisted dying bill. So let's get to your results. In third position with 7% of the vote, Lord Faulkner. The runner-up with 28% of the vote, Geeta Guru Murty. But today's Union Jackass, the worst Briton in the world today with an overwhelming 65% of the vote, it is the former British Prime Minister Tony Blair. And today's greatest Briton, nominated by Coastal Pat 875, Ben Habib, who says, finally voicing that he's open to collaborating with Rupert Lowe. Come on, this is what we need, and we need it now. And let me just tell you, I sat down for a very special interview with Ben Habib for his Fearless podcast. It was released yesterday. You can find it by searching for Ben Habib on YouTube.